So I'm reading SportsIllustrated.com and I'm checking out the situation in regards to the James Harden, Philadelphia 76ers Clippers trade proposal. And it looks like the situation has come to a halt or possibly an end, because the Clippers are really not trying to give up any of their major assets for James Harden, based upon the reports I was reading and a lot of things I was seeing. And rightfully so. As I said before, I don't think the Clippers should be trading away any of their key asset pieces, or a lot of them, for a James Harden who's damn near halfway or a little bit more than halfway washed now. And he doesn't even show up in big games. Even when he was in his prime on the Houston Rockets, he choked a lot of games then. So my point is, if you're going to go after James Harden, it really doesn't need to be for that much, because when you think about playoff games, big moments, the moment of truth, when it's time to really show who you are and what your abilities are, he's come shorter than a lot of, if all superstars that you can think of in the NBA. He's come up the shortest in his career, because he's played with Russell Westbrook, he's played with Chris Paul, he's played with other superstars in their prime. We're not even talking about out of their prime. He's played with those superstars in their prime, and he hasn't even got past the second or third round ever. He's never even been to a finals. And, back then they were talking about him, comparing him to like Kobe Bryant and, scoring wise and all this type of stuff. He's the best scorer we've ever seen, even better than Kobe, and all the BS that they were talking about on ESPN and all this stuff, which is very fraud, because Kobe was just an elite scorer beyond. And James Harden is a great scorer, but he gets 99% of his, points from the free throw line, seemed like to me, back in his prime on Houston. He knocked down threes and stuff, but a lot of his points came from the free throw line. And, Kobe was a lot different, but we can debate that back and forth. That's really not debatable topic at this point. But my point is, regardless of what's said, I just think the Clippers really need to, scale back on it. And I really think they have, based upon the reports I'm seeing, because there's no reason for them to give up Norman Powell, Rocco, Marcus Morris, and maybe 2 picks for James Harden. That's way too much to give up for a guy who doesn't play well in the playoffs. And on top of that, he's been in a couple of situations that has been winnable, and he hasn't come through, because like I said, when he was with Brooklyn, he had a big 3 there. He's there currently with the MVP in Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey is a stud, no doubt about it. And Tobias Harris is a pretty good role player himself. So when you think about that team, they got a couple guys, Shake Milton and people like that. You think about that team. They had Niang, another shooter. You think about that team specifically, they should have beaten the Celtics and went to the conference finals against the Miami Heat and possibly beat them. You see what I'm saying? But it's still James Harden. He has moments where he looks good. He has moments where he looks a little bit above average. He played good 1 or 2 games that series, and that was pretty much it. And that's not going to help a team win. And that's what I think the Clippers are looking at as well. How can he help us really win to that degree if we give up all that? If we give up a lot of our assets for him, is he really going to be the key to help us win a championship when he doesn't even show up in big games? We would like him on the team additionally with what we have in regards to Kawhi, PG, Russell Westbrook. Yeah, we would like him on the team with what we have, but not at a huge cost, because he's not the James Harden he once was. But the 76ers is almost as if they're treating it as he is the James Harden he once was, because price-wise, in regards to negotiations of a trade, they're making it hard and difficult to let him go. And the Clippers are being difficult by not letting their pieces go for one guy who might not be that trustworthy on the court due to him choking in previous years of being in big moments. And on top of that, his hamstring and his injuries has been a problem the last couple seasons too. So, when you factor all that in, it's like, well, it's not worth it. And I think that's where the Clippers are starting to, get at with the situation. It's not worth it. James Harden is not worth a Norman Powell, a Rocco, a Marcus Morris, and 2 future picks. And possibly they might even be asking for, maybe Zubac or, somebody else or like a Nicholas Batum. That's out for me. I'm not trading 3 to 4 players for a James Harden who's damn near washed. I probably wouldn't trade those 3 or 4 players for James Harden, even if he wasn't washed. Because like I said, in big moments, when have you seen James Harden really show up for a team in big moments and put him on his back and take him to the finals or win a finals? He hasn't even been to a finals except with OKC, but that's with Kevin Durant. That's with Russell Westbrook. Westbrook and himself and a pretty good all-around team. They had Reggie Jackson coming off the bench. I mean, they had so many players and so much talent on that team. It was hard to deny him, especially with a great player like, Kevin Durant. So, I mean, that's the only finals he'd been to. And it really, he was a part of it, but it wasn't really because of him why they went. It was really mainly Russ and KD because they were the two guys. But my point is, he hasn't led a team to a finals or a championship because he doesn't show up in big games. And like I said, that's why I wouldn't trade none of the. I mean, first of all, Norman Powell is not somebody I would be looking to trade if I were the Clippers. Not unless they're going to get somebody that's really, over the top good. I mean, Norman Powell is a 20-plus point scorer off the bench. And you don't have many guys in the NBA that can do it like that and shoot a decent percentage and shoot threes and, command the offense the way he can and with the second unit. You don't have many guys in the league that can do it to that level. So for the Clippers, they got to be careful shopping around Norman Powell, players like that, because, the value of him and Rocco and players like that, of course, Norman Powell's I say he's a little bit more valuable than Rocco in regards to scoring, but Rocco is a very valuable piece, too, because he's like a Swiss Army knife. He can do a little bit of everything. He can guard position 1 through 5, knock down threes, and, he's a pretty good, on-ball defender straight up, and he's basically a 3-and-D guy. But my point is, the Clippers are starting to see, listen, we're not giving up all this for James Harden. If you want to get rid of James Harden, then get rid of him and basically give him to us. We're not trying to, give all this for James Harden, because if James Harden was really worth all this much, why is the trade market value for him very low? And on top of that, why the hell are you, the Sixers, trying to get rid of him so bad if he's really worth all this much for us to give away all these assets for him? And I think that's where the halt and the standstill is. And I think that's the reason why it's going to come to an end and these talks won't be talked about much more, because I don't think the trade is going to come through. But either way, you never know what happens. But as I always say, leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk about it.